Make room for Javi.
We bought this 5-acre property in August of 2018. Over the next 4 years, I came out 10 days a month to clear the land. In 2020, I was on the site permanently and started preparing the actual construction site for the house. I bought a container to lock up my stuff while I was away. One of the things I did was fence 2,300 lineal feet of the property. I spent about 6 months clearing 1.5 acres of bamboo by the lake.
All right, I know when I'm beat, and this stump here, after digging for 3 days and washing out all the roots and the sand, getting as light as possible, it's not coming out. Now, it's not even budging. So it's time for a burn. To show you how big the stump is, I'm going to go climb in there. The roots still reach lower than where I'm going to stand. Banana shirt for scale. Hope you enjoyed that. Here we are, folks, watching the fire die down. It should take about a week. There's the cooler part of the fire that has swallowed up so much. These trees here, they're about 30 feet long, reduced to ash. This is day 4, and every day I load it up just like you see here, and every morning, next morning, all gone. I'm standing easily 15 feet away from the thing, and I'm feeling the burn. That's the pile that's left over here. It was considerably bigger. I designed my plans and had them reviewed and stamped by an engineer. While the plans were being processed, I purchased a small tractor, started clearing some trees and grading the construction site. I gotta tell you, this place started as a dump. Sorry about that. There's no way I can dig myself out of that one. And speaking of dumps, here's the plumbing. A termite walks in a pub, slams his fist and yells, "Where's the bar, tender?" Sorry, I told that joke before. It's a rebar joke. Here's a video account from the standing from where the TV goes in the living room. And just gonna swirl around here. This is January 7th. I still have those blocks to move. I've moved all the blocks on the side. Most of them. I still have those to move in the back. Okay. There's the work area. I moved the bulk of those. And I moved the bulk of those. I still have those to move and to continue all of these in the front as well, but it should be relatively quickly. Okay, so that's our little roundoscope for the day. This is how I'll always see my wife, smoking hot. These jokes are on fire. Don't flame me if you don't laugh. Let's not burn any bridges here. This romance is a slow burn, and I'll always keep the torch burning. Here's a surprising turn of events. I was told that the trusses would not arrive for another 11 months. The lead time was due to construction boom in the villages post-COVID. Oh, the joys of fixing time. I originally expected to subcontract the block work, but since I had the extra time and the quotes were now $22,000 for labor alone, 12 times higher due to supply and demand,
I ended up doing it myself. After all, I was caught between a block and a hard place. I took my time, 30 to 90 blocks a day, with the ultimate goal of laying 2,800 blocks. But halfway into it, my elbow was hurting something fierce, and I still had plenty of time before the trusses were scheduled to arrive. So I started working on the shop slab. You guys a little closer to the action over there. The slab required embedded anchors for the columns, so I prepped those along with the steel. So as you see, we have our slab ready to go. This thing is deep. I mean, look how deep this thing is. This is 3 feet deep, ready for monolithic slab. I just, everything's, you got the corner ties. So look at the beautiful job I did here on the ridiculously large. I mean, this thing's 6 feet by 6 feet. The frame. All right, that's just, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. While one person can build an entire house by himself, when it comes to concrete, there's a slight snag. This 85 cubic yard slab took 9 trucks and 2 hours to pour. Without 10 guys to help me, I would have to pour the concrete in 10 by 20 foot sections daily due to my physical limitations, as well as the fact that concrete is workable for only a limited time. My priority is saving as much money as I could without putting myself in the hospital. 10 extra guys at $400 each and 9 trucks of concrete beat one man and 5,400 bags and approximately 2 months of work. My elbow was not yet ready for more block laying, and as luck would have it, my steel building had arrived. I inventoried the parts, and the clock turned back to the early 1970s. I started working on my giant erector set. I started with the columns and proceeded to attach the girts, the horizontal structural members. I gotta say, when you don't have an extra person to help you there, my best friend became a spud. No, not that spud, the wrench one. Yeah, that one. I rented a man lift and telehandler for a month to work on the roof section. Raised the 1,500-pound beams with no problem and bolted the red iron frame together. Funny that I've never been into heavy metal. I am not going to iron out the details here, so we'll just forge ahead. Unfortunately, got a bit of a stall here because of the rain. So you can see it's raining. But okay, so this wall's up. The doorway to my, I still don't have a door on the shed, but that's the doorway. This is my daughter's room, the bathroom, my other daughter's room. Again, her room. Now this is the picture window in the back. Ooh, isn't that wonderful? I'm still working on this area and that area, and then that's pretty much where I stopped, because all of that, there's the entrance, there's the dining room, there's my mother-in-law's bathroom and room, and it brings us back to our door there. So, as you can see, it's been a bit of a grind today. I'm kind of thankful for the water, but I'm not so thankful because while it refreshes me, it's one of those days where I got energy to burn today, and I'm trying to finish this already. Another 2 days at this, and I should knock out that wall and that back section. Some days you just feel like a termite. And it's just that easy. Both the house and I needed a truss after all the block work. Since cranes in this area charge from $200 to $400 an hour, I wanted to minimize the cost by only renting it for the 50-foot trusses. I raised anything that had less than 45-foot span on my own with a little help from one of my contraptions. So just about here at the 1 year mark, I was ready for the big one. It still took 7 hours to raise and secure the 20 large trusses. The other 82, including the creep trusses, took me 2 weeks. At this point, it was time for a break. Luckily, one of my wife's friends was getting married, so after our dance break, I started nailing all the embedded hurricane straps to the trusses. I designed, engineered, and built the home to withstand 180-mile-an-hour winds. The inspector was just blown away by that. I then braced all the trusses every 2 feet in order to ensure proper deck alignment. Then came the roof deck. Once again, the cheapest quote for labor exceeded $20,000 due to labor supply and demand. So once again, a task I expected to sub out for safety's sake fell to me to complete. 120 sheets of 5/8 plywood on 3,800 square foot of roof area. Needless to say, I wasn't going to carry them up on a ladder without help, so I built a contraption. Perhaps you can spot it in this time lapse. While it doesn't prevent me from climbing up and down multiple times each hour, at least I could load 5 sheets at a time and winch it up to waist level on the roof. The entire deck took about 3 weeks to nail. Luckily, only one rainy day and sprinkle at that. While trusses lay outdoors getting weathered in yards all the time, such is not the case for plywood, which can only withstand a minimal amount of rain before succumbing to structural weakness. Once the underlayment was on, I could take my time and work under the comfort of my deck, nailing the blocking. Needless to say, I was pushing a number of 12-hour days during this period. While installing the flashing fascia and eaves, I took advantage and wired in the soffit lights. After all that climbing, it was a pleasure to sit on an excavator for a while digging a giant hole. Took a day to complete the breezeway and prep for the shingles. With a couple of helpers, we made quick work of the roof shingles. After the roof was done, I concentrated on the rest of the interior: windows, doors, stucco, and paint. Now that the exterior is almost complete, I concentrated on the interior: furring strips, non-bearing load walls, and the rest of the interior framing. Contraptions are fun. The trusses are spaced at 2 foot on center, In order to reinforce the truss bracing as well as create a tighter base for the ceiling drywall, I placed battens, perpendicular 1x4s, across the entire ceiling. Can we say overkill? And now for my favorite part of the build, the electrical. Except when you're hunting squirrels and you're really... Here's a little story about my past and one of the reasons I enjoy construction. It was the summer of 1979. I was 14 and I would ride with my dad from Miami to Delray Beach to accompany him on one of his construction projects. As a GC, he was mostly dealing with the admin work and I would hang around the job site following various tradesmen. That particular day, I was following Angel, the electrician. He was installing metal electrical boxes and conduit, and I would be following along asking him a million questions about electrical circuits, while collecting the knockout slugs for the boxes. As it was a 7-story building, I would come home with hundreds of slugs every day. Oddly enough, they were the size of nickels and quarters, and would fit perfectly in the gumball machines at the mall. Looking back, I feel kind of guilty for pilfering gumballs and other miscellaneous pittance, but honestly, those were some fond memories of my youth. Fast forward to 2023, and I'm looking at a choice between a $52,000 electrical subcontractor bill or $7,000 in materials to do what I enjoy most myself. No contest. Similarly, good plumbers are paid very well. The least smallest estimate for plumbing I received was for $17,000, excluding fixtures. In order to meet energy standards on the latest building code, insulation is required. Anyone not willing to invest $300 in rigid insulation to save $40 a month in AC costs deserves what they get. Similarly, another $500 to blanket the perimeter of the building where it's difficult for blown-in insulation to reach is a no-brainer. And that brings us to the AC and heating. While I have the equipment to solder, vacuum, and set up the AC lines, I did some major energy shopping. Mr. Cool and similar brands sell a 5-ton DIY inverter-type AC. At the time, I paid $3,900 for the compressor and air handler. All the lines came pre-charged, no vacuum or extra charging was needed. All in, I had $6,200 in my AC system, including 35 registers and 500 feet of ducting. In addition, my 5-ton AC unit uses 2,900 watts at full capacity, with no surge, as it's an inverter type. My generator can easily power the AC as well as the rest of the house during an outage. Now that I don't need to re-enter the attic anymore, it's time to seal it up. You want to trade? She wants a trade. Sit. Good girl. Bob. Good girl. There you go. If you ever popped in while I was building, you could always catch me speaking to myself throughout the day. I don't know if it's a habit from speaking to my streaming audience throughout the build, or the fact that I'm alone, but I like to think that no matter what, I'm looking for an intelligent conversation. So who better to converse with than myself? I need 2'4" from the end, and 2 foot. So 2'4" and 24 from this side. So I'll make sure everything's good before I start cutting my holes. I ordered 158 sheets of 5/8 drywall, figuring whatever was left over I'd use on the walls. With the help of a drywall lift, it was a simple matter of climbing the ladder multiple times per sheet. Now we move on to the walls, and then 180 drywall sheets later, it's time to position the shower enclosures. I opted for these over tiling showers for 2 of the bathrooms,
as I was already looking forward to moving in and it would still be another 6 months before I was ready. In comparison, with a full crew, it takes 4 to 6 months for an average 1,800 square foot house. A drywall crew can knock out drywall in 8 to 10 work days. That's including 3 coats of compound, ceilings, walls, and including finish. Double that for a 3,500 square foot house. That's about 400 man hours. It took me a month and a half for the ceiling drywall, 1 month for the wall drywall, and another 2 months for the compound and finish. From December 23 to April 24, for me that's 700 man hours, which is about right. Before painting the walls, I took advantage of the space and knocked out the painting of all 22 interior doors so I didn't have to do it outside. At this point, I wired all electrical except the cover plates and masked them off so I wouldn't get paint in the boxes. Trim plates go on after the paint. My warehouse doors arrived, so I took a couple of days to install them. The 12 by 12 was the hardest one. My patio is ready to entertain. The painting took me 4 days with 3 coats on the entire interior. Half a day to mask, 3 days to spray 3 coats, and half a day for cleanup and mask removal.
It's so foggy.
While laying tile and grouting may not be fun, with the new tile spacer technology it's easy and accurate, not to mention a blast to remove. Woohoo! Is this stool taken? Sorry, I couldn't hold it in. I know, these jokes stink. They're not the best, but they're a solid number 2. Don't you hate it when they just run on? I installed 4 toilets, but the third one was the worst. Are these puns making your cheeks hurt? Are they funny? I have nothing to go on yet. I'm feeling a bit flushed. Remember, if your toilet doesn't properly flush, you're in trouble. Okay, that's it. I got plenty more, but it's time to go. Looks like my build hinges on the next task. It's adorable. I had a buddy who used to say, when one door opens, another one closes. Worst cabinet maker ever. I was in here earlier opening a cabinet and a coffee cup landed on my head. I was mugged. It's all about the base. Installation is no trouble at all. Hey, thanks for hanging around, guys. Now, what's the difference between curtains and toilet paper? Well, if you don't know, you're never getting invited to my house. Okay, pull yourself together. It's almost over. I hope you've gotten a charge out of my commentary. I'm a big fan. And stay tuned to my channel for more build videos. Now that my house is done, I'll be working on my shop, but I've got all the unedited raw footage of the house to build, so I'll be editing those videos week after week in order. I'm throwing everything in this but the kitchen sink. Oh, all right, including the kitchen sink.
Make room for Javi.